else's name in case I lay a bomb here. I don't want my own name on here. Hello.
Hello.
You know, this is the Rebbitzah. She has 6 children. And she never watches television?
She's hooked up to the lie detector.
She doesn't have time, Harold.
Second to last one.
Harold, you're very funny.
Thank you all for coming, all my friends from Indian Spring. My attorney is here, Harvey Ludeman. My doctor is here, Gene Sherman.
The psychiatrist?
My psychiatrist left, he couldn't stand some of the jokes. And I'm glad you're all here. This is the truth. On May 20th, there's a show opening up on Broadway called Old Jews Telling Jokes.
Really?
Yes, May 20th at the 3rd Avenue Theater, which is on 43rd Street and between 8th and 9th Avenue. They're still looking for funding, but so far they signed the contracts and it's good. And I submitted a skit that goes on for 12 minutes, which they accepted. I will be going to New York and trying out for the part, if they like it. I'm trying it out today before you people to see if you find it funny. I don't tell jokes, I tell life experiences, okay? I'm married 65 years to Jay Gillet. March 30th. March 30th. And it's a miracle of miracles. And many of you people have said to me, she deserves a medal. Well, over these 65 years, I've given her 14 medals and 18 plaques. We've used up 2 living room walls already. I met Jay Gillet in James Monroe High School in the Bronx. Beyond the city's noise and clamor, serene beneath the heavens gold, there in the radiant morning sunlight was our alma mater we behold. I was a listener then, and I'm listening now. I met her, and I thought she was the most beautiful girl in the school. And I said, would you like to go with me to my senior prom? And she said no. I don't blame her. I was a short, fat guy with a lot of pimples on my face. But I kept after her, and finally, one day, to my surprise, she said yes. It seems all her friends were going, and she wanted to be at the senior prom. I went home and I told my parents, Eva, Sam, I met the most beautiful girl in my life, and I want to marry her. My father said, is she Jewish? I said, yes, her name is Greenberg. What does her father do? He's a butcher. Is he a kosher butcher? Yes, he's a kosher butcher. Anyway, we went. I said, I need a suit and I need transportation to go to the prom. He said, don't worry. We will alter your bar mitzvah suit. We'll go to Morris, the tailor, and we'll fix up the suit. And we'll go to Cousin Sidney and borrow one of his pair of shoes. I said, Dad, how can I use my bar mitzvah suit? It's 5 years old. And Cousin Sidney, you remember last year I wore his shoes. For 4 weeks I was limping, and you took me to the doctor, and we found out that he stuffed cardboard in his shoes to cover up the holes. But it wasn't ordinary cardboard. It was the cardboard that they packed the eggs in at Publix, you know? And that's what made me limp for 4 weeks. Anyway, he said, listen, I'm going to give you the transportation, but you've got to drive carefully and don't go more than 15 miles an hour, and I want you home by 12 o'clock. I said, you got a deal. I met all my friends out in the street. Everybody was excited. They had new suits, new shoes, nice ties, shirts. They had their family cars, Buicks, Oldsmobiles, Cadillacs, and we all went to Atlas Florist to buy corsages and orchids for our prom dates. Only I didn't go to Atlas. I went next door to Tony's Fruit Market, and I bought a dozen apples for my date. And I went down to pick up Jay, 890 Fox Street, as she came out of that beautiful building in the South Bronx. I looked at her and I said, there's my porn date for the night. I'm sorry, I mean my prom date for the night. And she came, sat next to me, and I gave her the dozen apples, and she took 5 apples out and immediately fed them to my horse, Shamus. We didn't have a car. My family was very poor. We only had horses and wagons, and so I took Shamus in the wagon and we went to the prom. We had a great time at the prom, except Jay kept going out to feed Shamus the horse, the apples, and it was unusual because Shamus never liked anybody, and they bonded. And once they bonded, the family accepted Jay. And I knew she would be in our family. And so we dated until the Navy came and drafted me. I went into the Navy for about 17 months. I went in as a seaman second class. And 17 months later, I came out as a seaman second class. And I asked her to marry me. And she said, how can we get married? You have that terrible job in Flakewitz's bakery. I was working for Flakewitz down in the basement. My job was to take jelly and jam and put it between the two cookies. I was known as a filler. So I did that. It didn't pay much, but we got a lot of cookies to take home. I said, listen, have confidence in me. If you promise to marry me, I'll make two promises to you. One, I will open up my own business and be successful. And two, I will have your name up in lights in every theater on Broadway and off Broadway, every restaurant, every museum, everywhere you go, your name will be up in lights. Give me a birth certificate. I took a birth certificate and I took $40 out of my bank account and I went to the county courthouse on the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. I saw the clerk, I gave him the money, I gave him the birth certificate, and I legally changed her name to Exit. There it is up there. Right now I'm changing her name to Excite. Well, she said, okay, so we'll get married. So we booked the Reverend Flaum's marriage salon at 2000 Daly Avenue. My mother-in-law, she should rest in peace, gave us $300 to make a wedding. The place held 60 people. And just as we're in the middle of the ceremony, the police broke in, the fire department came with dogs. Somebody had called in a bomb scare in the neighborhood. They didn't like the Reverend Flaum, and they didn't like Shamus, who was messing up the streets, which was shocking because Shamus never did that before. Anyway, I don't know what happened. We don't have a marriage certificate. We don't have a license, but I think we're still married, and it's 65 years, and I'm very blessed to have her. Now, the time I have remaining, I'm allowed to take 2 questions from the audience. Anybody want to ask the question? Gentleman over there.
What's the most exciting thing that happened in your marriage?
All right, let me tell you what he said. He asked me, what happened to the horse Shamus? Shamus retired at the Abbey Del Rey nursing home here in Del Rey. He has a buggy, a horse and buggy. He drives people around, senior citizens. Grandchildren come to visit them, and they all go on this ride. And he's living out his years in comfort and luxury, and he's having a great time. This is a picture taken March 30th, 1947. We don't have a license, we don't have a certificate. I can only prove that the Reverend Flaum married us by this picture. This picture was done by the famous photographers, H&H Photographers in Riverdale and Irvington, New York. Phone number 914-636-4784. Now taking bookings for 2013. Second question. What happened to Cousin Sidney? Cousin Sidney, unfortunately, stepped on a rusty nail. He was wearing one of his shoes with the holes in it. Got an infection. He didn't have his usual cardboard in there, the egg crates, and he passed away in 2009. His wife, Cecilia, gave me a dozen of Cousin Sidney's shoes, which I still wear today. Thank you all very much for coming. I hope you have a unfortunately, you know, every star has a entourage that travels with him. I have my attorney with me from Philadelphia, Harvey Ludeman. I have my accountant with me from Philadelphia, Mr. Coopersmith. And I have my physician with me, my psychiatrist, Dr. Gene Schramer. Thank you.